What are you looking forward to most?
Well, knowing the budget, knowing like what the production behind this movie is, the VFX, just because I love that stuff.
I'm excited about Shane Black the most. I'm excited about the writing the most.
I hope he shows some classic Kiss Kiss Bang Bang Lethal Weapon kind of humor that he's known for.
I liked it a lot.
I walked out remembering this movie, so...
I would say it's as good as Avengers. I've restored faith in cinema.
I do think there were some issues. It's a movie that's so easy to like, and it's kind of difficult to love.
We are back from seeing Iron Man 3. We saw an IMAX 3D.
Yep, and we were going to discuss it a bit. It's coming out this weekend, and we thought we'd bring back the review.
People are excited. This is the first movie initiating us in the Marvel Phase 2.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But more importantly, and it's made abundantly clear, this is kind of the wrapping up of the Iron Man trilogy. They're kind of saying this is, of the Iron Man solo movies, this looks like it's going to be the end.
You think so?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'd say give it 2 or 3 years. Things will change.
I remember Kevin Feige saying something along the lines of, and this was a while ago, saying he'd like to see it go in a James Bond way, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Mm-hmm. So eventually somebody will take over the very big shoes to fill in Robert Downey Jr.'s
Well,
case.
let's talk about this movie.
I loved it.
I enjoyed it a lot.
I loved it. I enjoyed it a lot too. It's a very difficult movie not to enjoy and not to like. For me, it was a little tough to love.
I feel like pacing-wise, it's great. You're never bored. It's funny. It's fun. The audience was really responsive to it. Shane Black's writing is kind of, has a really nice bite to it. Mm-hmm. I like him as a writer a lot. A lot of scenes to me were at like 80 to 90%. Mm-hmm. Like they just weren't quite at 100%, but that's not a bad place to be.
No, especially when you consider it came after Iron Man 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a tough thing that they're dealing with. Is like whatever your feelings are about Iron Man.
I think it's more like it's coming after Avengers, and they even make a couple references. Mm-hmm. The Hulk as a reference, Thor as a reference. It's more like dialogue. They say things about who they are.
Surprisingly for me, one of the biggest achievements I find in this movie is going after the gargantuan success that is the Avengers. They are completely avoiding the world.
They also
the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Everyone saw it.
Yeah,
I like that thought.
Exactly.
It's like if you didn't see it, then why are you here anyway?
But it's funny because like they have so much at stake with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. How many films are in the universe? They are doing a TV show now, all that stuff, and they really made an effort beyond logic, really. Because we're Shields, like it doesn't really make sense.
They referenced Shield once, but
yeah, I feel like Shield should have been
considering all the terror that's going on.
Considering what you just said, though, it kind of makes sense because if so much is riding on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they don't want one movie to be able to derail it. So if they kind of keep everything with pockets with fun little references, I think that if Thor: The Dark World isn't widely beloved or whatever. Mm-hmm. Which we don't know yet. It didn't come out. Maybe. Hopefully it will be.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about Avengers 2 suffering from it.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. has settled into Tony Stark so well.
Also, Don Cheadle.
Yeah, Don Cheadle's great.
Liked him so much more in this than I did.
All he did was talk in the second one.
He was given something to do in this.
Yeah, this one, he's shooting, he's jumping, he does this thing, the gliding thing.
Yeah. I absolutely love Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
And
awesome.
Who doesn't act enough because he was in Memento and then kind of fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah. He's been working consistently, but he's lately been getting like really high profile stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Prometheus.
Ben Kingsley was great.
Yeah, he was fan-freaking-tastic.
There's a little bit. I don't want to spoil the whole thing. There's a bit of a twist with him, and he handles everything about it perfectly.
Because it's not just like that the punch of his character is so well executed, and it is, and he's so funny in it, but everything leading up to that, he handles completely perfectly.
Straight,
everything.
And it's genuinely threatening, which if it wasn't, would have killed that. I loved everything with the kids.
Yeah,
that was my favorite part about the movie.
Let's talk about that.
Because I was thinking, I saw a kid, and I'm like, oh no, Jake Lloyd, Anakin Skywalker. We're going to have this, crappy pod race coming up or something where
he flies the suit.
Yeah. I was so worried that the kid was gonna put the suit on and be like, I'm Anakin, Iron Man.
And he gets hit by a truck.
Yeah. But instead, I kind of thought, like, if I was 8 years old, that I'd see myself as him, and I'm looking up to this great American hero. They even had a guy, what was it, like, Gary is the guy in the truck who has a tattoo of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
It's like, that's like the adult fanboy, then we have the kid fanboy.
Yeah. There's a whole middle section of, and this isn't really getting into too big a spoiler territory, there's a whole middle section where Tony Stark is kind of without the suit in Tennessee in the winter, and that was my favorite part of the movie. Seeing Tony Stark kind of, you said it before.
Because he's a genius and an inventor and a MacGyver.
Kind of solving a mystery and being a MacGyver out of his element in this kind of like, in this Tennessee town was really, really fun to watch and really entertaining for me. Yeah. And the kid's really good.
The kid is great. And I do think that, we were talking about this earlier, you brought up a Richard Roper. Or was it Roper?
It's whoever's writing on RogerEbert.com right now.
Right. Yeah. What did they say? Because
I don't know the exact verbiage, but the gist of it is that the movie oscillates between wanting you to take it very, very seriously and sneering at the fact that anyone would take a movie seriously at all.
Yeah, and I know you didn't exactly agree with that, right?
Yeah, but it's kind of Shane Black's MO.
Yeah, that is kind of the way he does things. And I think it's very funny because... and it's almost a compliment. I think it's a compliment to Shane Black when I say this. But when I came out of the Avengers, I wanted to rewatch all of Phase 1 again.
Yeah.
Like, when I come out of any franchise that I enjoy, like a movie that I enjoy, I want to rewatch the first films and, just get involved in that world. It just pumps me up for everything. I come out of Iron Man 3, I want to watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
While we're talking about Shane Black.
Yeah.
The man seems perfectly incapable of making a movie that does not take place during Christmas.
This really movie is strange. An 80s action movie.
It did have a Die Hard.
Yeah. Is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon, which he wrote, Christmas movie. This, inexplicably a Christmas movie.
It also has a bunch of set pieces that will be familiar to anybody who's a fan of his movies. Like hanging, the bad guys hanging somebody up to torture him. The bad guys with the ponytail henchmen, doing quips with them before.
Which is something I actually really, really enjoy. I think that tonally they run into some problems, but I think overall that gives a really fun tone to the movie. And I think that that's what the Iron Man movies have kind of set up.
The first
they're not
one.
the Dark Knight movies. They're not serious, heavy movies. He goes through emotional changes, but these are fun movies, and Tony Stark is a fun character.
I do think inherently the biggest problem I had with Iron Man 3 is that it offers like the scenario for emotional resonance. Like there are the arcs that they like very consciously place these arcs here.
Yeah, of course.
They just are executed poorly.
I mean, the post-traumatic stress disorder, I don't know much.
It's handled smoothly.
I don't think it's accurate, but I also don't know anyone with it, so I don't know.
The way they handled the post-traumatic stress disorder, and they kind of do it too.
It's not, to be fair, it's not really like diagnosed as post-traumatic.
And I agree.
Tony Stark is struggling with what happened in the Avengers.
Yeah. But the way they handle it is kind of the way they handled his alcoholism or potential alcoholism in Iron Man 2.
It becomes a gag.
Which is, he's like a drunken frat boy throwing each other around in Iron Man 2 as opposed to doing the real demon seed. Which, whatever, that's another story. But they can never do that in this universe anymore.
Well, the thing is that it kind of toes this line of they're making these light movies. They couldn't do the demon in the bottle storyline. They can't. The post-traumatic stress disorder thing doesn't really work very well.
They're not
so why
avoiding
do it?
Yeah, that's the question.
They could just make Tony Stark, a down like he's in enough trouble as it is. So like I don't feel like they needed that added kind of like emotional heft of like what's the emotional trauma he suffered from the Avengers. Like these are light movies. The aliens invaded New York. I didn't really need to see what happens to a real person when that happens.
Especially since they build up at the beginning, like, oh, I've been having these nightmares. I'm having these panic attacks.
Yeah.
It doesn't go anywhere.
So of the action sequences, what did you?
I'm glad I was just about to say something.
The plane. There's the plane sequence.
The
MacGyver sequence.
There's
the MacGyver's
the
best.
Key set
pieces.
MacGyver's just because it's just them. Shane Black and his element of writing like funny situations and writing humorous ways to get out of situations.
Also, just like in the first one, it's like what appealed to people about that movie was like it's got like the perfect blend of humor and action. And I think that one brings that back again, whereas the second one kind of lost it. Right. It was just an ad.
To be honest,
for the Avengers.
To be completely honest, I actually, with all the Iron Man movies, I'm into them for the most part, 2/3 of the way, and then once it goes to the last battle sequences, which it just turns into Transformers, like we're about to see each other, I always tune out.
This one did have a Transformers feel.
But I like this one.
But in a good way.
I like this one because at least it was funny.
It's a real bad guy, though, in this one.
I mean,
the threat is really big in this one, and the final set piece, which is huge.
Yeah.
In the trailers, we see there's a lot of suits involved.
Right.
And the way that all those suits interact with him and interact with each other is really inventive.
The action sequences definitely keep accelerating, though. And I think that's important with like those summer blockbuster movies. Mm-hmm. You have to keep going higher and higher and higher until you reach climax. Whereas a lot of action movies, that's like the ones that suck, they don't accomplish that.
What was your favorite set piece?
Definitely the ending. Anything that has like 100 robots coming together on a giant construction site, or like an oil field, whatever that was. You know, it's. I want to say the sound design was the first thing I noticed, just because that's what I like. Awesome like. SFX, and then the everything is crashing around them, and the stakes are high compared to like Iron Man 2. It didn't really have that. It was like, let's just put a fight scene because the movie's going to be done soon.
Yeah. You get to see a lot of the different kinds of Iron Man armors without them having to invest too much into showing you a lot of the different
Iron Man. Hulkbuster.
Like we see the Hulkbuster suit very quickly. We see like, the spaceflight suit very quickly.
Right.
They kind of favor different ones. But one thing that they've always really been good at in this whole series is giving the technology a personality.
Yeah.
Like in the first one, he had his little drones that are really funny, and they're in this one as well. And Jarvis, is his main computer, always has like a really funny, dry personality. And even the suits and the way that they move or the way that they make mistakes and things, it keeps this air of lightness and kind of, or levity, and slapstick, kind of.
Totally. It becomes like Three Stooges.
It makes it really endearing. Yeah. And it makes the emotional moments...
I think it cuts them is maybe the problem.
Them, but I think that's good because sometimes, like you said, they haven't quite earned them. So cutting them might be the right thing to do.
You know what? That's a really interesting note, too. Because if they didn't cut them, we're left with a kind of empty feeling.
A flat moment.
Yeah.
Instead, they...
writing off an emotional moment that didn't even really work. So.
Yeah, so if you put a joke in it...
Right.
Then the audience connects to it. You're not left with a flat moment.
See, is that Shane Black being really smart about the way he writes, or being really aware that, hey, I can't really make this moment between Tony and Pepper work very well?
I mean, honestly, either is being smart about how he writes.
Right. So something we were talking about in the car on our way back was the violence, which is very much in tone with kind of the Shane Black rated R action movie.
People just getting shot.
Yeah,
people, no remorse, even
there's no real
kind of a James Bond coldness to it, which is sort of like Avengers did not have that, which is the first I've seen.
Well, Avengers also had the benefit of New York just clearing the hell out of pedestrians.
Tony was killing people with guns and things like that, which is we haven't really seen.
I mean, we know he's not Batman. We know he's not Bruce Wayne. We know he doesn't really have a code, but we know he's.
But we haven't seen him straight up point a gun at someone and shoot them with it. Like he'll fight a bunch of people in robots and they'll die, that kind of thing. But seeing that was a little uneasy for me because you want your heroes to have a little more of a sense of moral superiority than the bad guys.
Yeah.
Which he does, but
I agree. I like this movie. This movie, I think, is more entertaining than both the previous films. But it makes me miss the emotional resonance that actually was there in Iron Man 1. So that's where I'm coming with it. And The Avengers is the best out of all of them.
Well, I didn't really even care about emotional resonance. I thought it was awesome to go... I mean, sure, the characters move kind of like chess pieces from place to place to place, but as far as an action James Bond kind of movie, it definitely had that. Every action sequence was I want to say flawless, but I'm sure there are flaws. I just didn't see them.
See, that's...
At least in the craftsmanship of visual effects, sound effects. I don't know, it's... I want to say engaging and gripping are the words I would use.
Right. And I don't want to dismiss what you're saying, but that was the same argument I heard from people who defended Inception to me, because they were like, well, I don't care about the emotional resonance. It's cool, slick characters doing cool, slick things.
I mean, it's not
with
this 300 that's just macho violence. It definitely doesn't have that.
Like Inception, though, it's it cares about emotional investment. The filmmakers care about emotional investment because they actually drew the scenes out for them. They just didn't resonate.
I really, really enjoyed it. I thought, again, I had like some, a few little minor quabbles with it, but 80-90% ain't a bad place to be, and it's my second favorite of the Iron Man movies, behind Iron Man 1. Iron Man 2, out of there. But I thought it was really fun. I had a smile on my face a lot, and I laughed a lot. There was no moment that I was bored.
Right.
And I can't hold much against a movie that entertains me through the entire runtime.
Right.
And
it makes me really excited for Phase 2.
I'm excited. Phase 2 is coming. Let us know what you think.
My favorite credit sequence for any superhero movie.
It was really good.
Stay through the credits.
The way that they handle the credits, it's like a 70s retro thing. It's great.
For sure. Let us know what you think. Comment below. We know you're seeing it this weekend. Some of you may have seen it. Some of our overseas friends.
How's the 3D?
Or some of you early risers who went to midnight screenings last night.
Did you like the 3D?
Did you? Did you not? So let us know what you think. We obviously were fans. We had our little problems, but we all enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah.
And so did seemingly everybody in the audience. So, until next time, I'm Ryan.
David.
Andrew.
Thank you for watching.